Hello friends, and not yet friends, welcome back to Mary's Test Kitchen where we're making vegan food fun. Today we're making vegan graham crackers and desserts with said crackers 3 different ways. These recipes are so delicious, but easy peasy, with gluten-free options, and brought to you with a bit of help from today's sponsor, Thrive Market. Thrive Market is the online marketplace on a mission to make healthy living easy and affordable for everyone. They have a huge selection of organic and natural products at 25 to 50% less than traditional retail prices, including a lot of vegan staples, snacks, candies, but also vitamins, cleaning supplies, kitchen and homeware, beauty products, kids and baby things, even clothing and toys. It's amazing. They make it super easy to shop for only vegan products or organic or gluten-free or fair trade or over 80 other categories that might be important to you. And of course, shipped straight to your door in packaging that's made from recycled materials and is recyclable. The annual membership is $60, which they guarantee you'll make back in discounts or you get your money back. Plus, when you buy a membership, they'll give one to a low-income family, teacher, or veteran. As I grew up in a low-income household myself, I really appreciate that. From experience, a little help goes a long way. But you don't have to commit just yet. Thrive Market is offering you a 30-day free trial membership so you can try it out yourself. Use my link below and get an extra 25% off your first purchase on top of those already discounted prices. But back to the recipes for today, starting with graham crackers. My favorite childhood crackers. Did you know graham crackers were first made from graham flour, which is wheat flour that's been milled to a certain coarseness? But I'm going to use organic whole wheat flour. It's way easier to find, and the taste should be similar. Gluten-free friends, hang tight. As always, I really recommend using a kitchen scale to measure ingredients by weight. So much more accurate than trying to use cups and spoons for dry stuff like flour, but it can also be so helpful when measuring liquids too. But of course, the full printable recipes will be on marystestkitchen.com with the full amounts both ways and with notes for substitutions. Like instead of whole wheat, you could use regular all-purpose flour, but if you did, you don't need to add this cornstarch here. Nor would you need it if you're doing the gluten-free version. You'd be using all-purpose gluten-free flour like Bob's Red Mill gluten-free 1-to-1 baking flour. It's my favorite gluten-free flour that never fails me with pancakes, muffins, and cookies. It just works so well. But it needs a little help from oats. You can buy gluten-free oat flour, of course, but I like to make mine fresh with rolled oats. Just blitz it in a blender and voila! Oat flour. You want it to be pretty fine, but if it's not so fine, it's actually fine. You'll just have more texture in your crackers. For both versions, add baking powder, cinnamon, salt, and brown sugar. Stir all those dry ingredients together really well. Make sure you break up any brown sugar lumps. And if you're wondering whether you can use a sugar alternative instead, yes. Yes, you can. Then make some room for the wet ingredients. We'll do everything in the same bowl. Add soft or melted butter-flavored coconut oil. I mean, you can use regular refined coconut oil, but I really like this butter-flavored one from Thrive Market. That way, when you're making anything that is typically made with butter, you can make it vegan but still have that rich, buttery flavor. And a bit of water, not too much or the crackers will come out chewy and tough instead of crispy and crunchy. And vanilla extract. Then you can add blackstrap molasses or coconut nectar, which is a little easier to work with, I find, and it's a bit milder tasting. Then stir the wet ingredients together really well, and then you can incorporate the dry stuff too. The mixture will likely be very dry and crumbly, and you might wonder if you should add more water. Don't. Most likely you won't need to. Just keep mixing. Break up the clumps and make it crumbly like sand, so the wetter clumps can mix with the drier clumps, and eventually everything will be at the same hydration level. At the end, it'll look like wet sand, but if you grab a bunch and squish it, it should hold together. Not strongly, mind you, it should break apart pretty easily too. Now for the fun part. Dump your wet sand onto a parchment-lined baking sheet. Shape the pile into a rectangle and try to even it out. I'm going to use this second piece of parchment to help me out for this next part. And my trusty beer bottle rolling pin. Roll it out to about an 1/8 inch thickness. It's okay if it's a little thicker, but they get tough if they are too close to a 1/4 inch. Did I say fun part? I meant slightly annoying part. You want to press the dough together into shape without pressing too hard and making cracks. Don't worry too much though. You can always patch the cracks with Bitsies. Then figure out the size you want your crackers and carefully cut out the shapes. I found a pizza slicer works really well because of the thin, sharp blade. But then again, if you make some cracks, you can just press in some bits to patch things up. Finally, you can take this to your preheated oven and bake for 14 minutes. The tops should come out ever so slightly puffier, the edges ever so slightly browned, and ditto for the bottoms. Although you won't know about the bottoms because you have to leave these alone for 5 minutes. Afterwards, they should be sturdy enough to transfer to a cooling rack. And there you have homemade vegan graham crackers. A little rustic and so delicious. They aren't super sweet, intentionally, because I have some very sweet plans for these. They're nice and crisp, and because homemade is not super perfect, there are some thicker parts and they are a bit softer. The contrast is actually nice. Let these cool completely, and you can store them in an airtight container at room temperature. Or stick a couple back onto your baking sheet and make some s'mores. I was going to show you how to do them in your grill, but this happened. No worries, they are almost as good in the oven. Add a couple squares of vegan dark chocolate. Regular marshmallows are not vegan or even vegetarian, so pick up some dandies. Get some big puffy ones or the minis. I'm using minis just because I need minis for another thing too. And these go into an oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 minutes or so. Or use the top broiler to get a little color on the marshmallows, as well as get that chocolate all melty. And stick a graham cracker on each of those and you have easy peasy vegan s'mores ready for your face. If you want to make something along the same lines, but way more impressive looking, level up with vegan s'mores ice cream cake. Grab a tub each of vegan vanilla ice cream and chocolate ice cream and a loaf tin lined with parchment paper. Sprinkle in some mini marshmallows. Spread a 1.5 cups of vanilla ice cream on the bottom, which will actually become the top of the cake. As you can see, I actually used a vegan cookies and cream flavor, which only adds to the awesomeness of this cake. The trick is to let the ice cream thaw at room temperature for 10 minutes so it's soft enough to work with. Then add a layer of crumbled graham crackers. I was lazy this time and decided to lay them down whole and just crack them a little bit, but if you want to be able to slice through your ice cream cake, crumble the crackers. A case of do as I say, not as I did. Next, a layer of softened chocolate ice cream. Then more marshmallows. And by the way, if you find your ice cream melting way too fast, just stick the whole thing back in the freezer for a few minutes before continuing. And more chocolate. And more crackers. Again, crumble these if you want to be able to slice through. And finally, more vanilla. The last layer, which will be the bottom, will be made of more graham crackers. If some of those crackers get snacked on before they make it onto the cake, then so be it. Then freeze for at least 2 hours. Afterwards, turn the whole thing over and reveal a block that's not especially impressive. So melt some chocolate chips with a teeny bit of coconut oil and mix together, then drizzle. You could stop there. This would be super pretty to serve. But we have leftover s'mores, all cut up. And plenty of extra mini marshmallows. What else would you do? If you make this, be quick when you're taking pictures for Instagram or your chocolate ice cream cake will melt. I won't lie, it gets pretty messy, but it is so flipping good. But what if you want something impressive, but also elegant and not so messy? My answer to that question are these creamy strawberry 2-bite no-bake cheesecakes. You won't need a ton of ingredients, but you will need to prep just a little bit by soaking some raw cashews. And by picking out some freeze-dried strawberries. They are just beautiful and keep their color better than fresh in these desserts. Add all of your ingredients except the freeze-dried strawberries to a high-speed blender. And blend until smooth. You may need to stop and scrape down the sides every so often to make sure that everything gets incorporated. Then line a muffin tin. I'm using some silicone cupcake liners, but parchment will work too. And stick a pretty slice of freeze-dried strawberry on the bottoms. And evenly pour over the cheesecake batter. I probably went a little over full here, but it's okay. Add some more dried strawberry pieces. And cover with graham crackers. You don't have to make them into crumbs and mix in vegan butter or anything like that, just break them up and fit them in as best you can. And freeze these babies for at least 2 hours to get them firm enough to pull out of the liners. If you freeze them totally solid, just let them thaw 5 to 10 minutes before serving. And there you have it, another easy peasy summery dessert. So low effort, but they look and taste so good. Let me know which graham cracker dessert you want to make the most, or let me know what other ideas you have blossoming in your mind. Thank you so much for watching, my friends, and thank you to Thrive Market for helping me create all these recipes. Don't forget to check out the link and sign up for your free 30-day trial and get 25% off your first order. The offer is US only, lucky Americans, but everyone else can still enjoy the full recipes which are linked in the description. Next week, I will deliver on my promises and give you one of the top most upvoted bread requests. An easy one to start out our bread making adventures together. We don't want to get overwhelmed right away. We have the whole summer, my friends. Bye for now.